Okay, friends, now we're going to look at the next paragraph on this last page, and we're going to keep following these same directions we have at the top. We're going to find 2 or 3 important words and then explain how those words help us understand. I'm going to read the paragraph and then go back and explain to you how we annotate. Ready? Sports critics considered Serena Williams the best female tennis player of all time. She's earned 21 Grand Slam titles and 4 Olympic gold medals. She's currently the reigning champion of the French Open, the Australian Open, Wimbledon, and the WTA Tour. When Serena isn't ranked number 1 in the world, Venus usually is. She was the first Black American woman to take the number 1 spot and has held it 3 times. She won 7 Grand Slam titles and her own 4 Olympic gold medals. Wow. Alrighty, we're done reading this paragraph, so now it's time to annotate. I'm going to annotate. My first thing that I want to annotate is that Serena was the best female tennis player of all time. She was the best of all time. Nobody was ever better than her. So that's already super important. If nobody was better than her, that tells me a lot about Serena. And I know that we know that she was the best of all time because she won 21 Grand Slam titles and 4 Olympic gold medals. Wow, that's a lot of championships. Venus, we also know, is another important person in this paragraph who we want to talk about or who we want to remember. So when we come down here to this bottom part, we know that Venus, she wasn't the best of all time. They gave that title to Serena, but it's still really important to know that she is the first Black American woman to take the number 1 spot. So she's had the number 1 spot, and when she had the number 1 spot, she was the first Black American woman to do it. So that's also really important for us to know. And she held that, part of the reason she held that number 1 spot is because she won 7 Grand Slam titles and her own 4 Olympic gold medals. So I annotated what I needed to know here about Serena and what I needed to know down here about Venus. I know that Serena was the best player of all time, and I know that Venus was the first Black American woman to take that number 1 spot. Serena was the best of all time because she won 21 Grand Slam titles and 4 Olympic gold medals. When Venus had her turn at the number 1 spot, she didn't win quite as many Grand Slam titles. She won 7, while her sister won 21. 7's still a lot. And she won 4 Olympic gold medals. So both of the things that I annotated about Venus and Serena tell me that they were really good at tennis, and they tell me how they were good at tennis. It tells me how they were able to prove that they were the best in their sport. And they were the best in their sport because they both won a ton of championships. That is what we underlined. We underlined 21 Grand Slam titles, 4 Olympic gold medals, 7 Grand Slam titles, 4 Olympic gold medals. Both of those annotations support how we know Venus and Serena were champions or number 1 at tennis. So now I'm going to make a sentence to remind me why the words that we annotated today in this paragraph are so important. And remember, we want to keep it super short, just 5 or 10 words. So I can say something like, both won many titles and medals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 words, a tiny sentence that tells me that they won a lot of titles and medals, and if they were winning, that tells me that they were really good. So now I can go back and look at my directions. I completed both my steps, and now we are ready for our next paragraph to get a little bit more practice. This next paragraph is also going to be what you see on your exit ticket. So make sure you pay very close attention to the next paragraph that we are about to annotate.